Good day, everybody. My name is Joseph Ehrlichmann, and I am an 11th and 12th grade research and service learning teacher at Larchmont Charter High School in central Los Angeles. I have one ELA recovery class for students who failed a semester or two in 9th and 10th grade, and they're my focus for this lesson series on interfacing with students on issues of race and privilege through the lens of a grade level text. All these students, 3 girls, 8 boys, are part of minority social identity groups. The academic objective in this unit is for students to trace the development of a theme in a grade level text. I used the novel All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Keeley as the focus text, and by the end of the unit the students will produce a thematic creative artifact along with grade level writing piece and a short presentation. The book follows the narrative of Rashad, a black teen, and Quinn, a white teen, in Springfield, Massachusetts. Rashad is wrongly accused of shoplifting by a white off-duty cop and then is severely beaten by that police officer. Quinn witnesses the beating from afar, but he does not intervene. Rashad ends up in the hospital suffering internal bleeding and other injuries for several days, while a social media clip emerges that shows the beating, and public outrage ensues, embroiling the community and everyone in the school. At school, Quinn and his teammates on the basketball team are ordered by the coach to ignore the public debate in order to focus on their success on court. The black players on the team have a lot of difficulty with this, as does Quinn. Throughout the narrative, Quinn struggles to come to a conclusion, but he finally concludes that he has the privilege to opt out or opt in to the debate about race and police behavior, but Rashad doesn't have that privilege, nor do his black teammates. Ultimately, Quinn decides, through the help of his teammates, that he cannot just ignore the reality of race in Springfield, and chooses to join in the protests in solidarity with others in support of justice for Rashad, a person that he does not even know personally. In the end, massive yet peaceful protests are held, and the clear message is that silence and ignorance of the realities of race allow racism and prejudice to continue unabated. Action and participation are imperative, especially from those who have privilege. So throughout the book, several concepts were raised by the students that we used to develop discussions about themes. Obviously, race, police brutality, and privilege were among the most prominent, and here are some others. As we worked through the book, I asked students to write in structured format about all of these themes, providing formative feedback each time, and you'll see an example from Chris here. And then on the next slide, we held discussions about these themes throughout the book to reinforce and expand on ideas. So you'll see it in this next slide. Chris, I think you said you had a powerful one, so why don't you share the quote with us and your thoughts about it.
The quote I chose from the book was when Rashad's dad gets a call that a bunch of guys are making noise in the neighborhood, and then when he pulls up, he sees a white kid and a black kid in a struggle for a backpack, and immediately Rashad's dad tackles the.
For the final project, I asked the students to create an artifact that represented one of the themes, inspired by a t-shirt that's made by Quinn in the book when he decided to become an ally. I want them also to produce a written piece connecting the artifact to the book and connect to a related current event, along with a short roundtable presentation. Here you can see an outline of the lesson plan that I used for the final discussion that helped to prepare the students for the final project. And here is the assignment and rubric that I distributed to the students for the final project. As a companion text, I had the students read a recent essay called Privileged by white NBA star Kyle Korver, which reflects many of the same ideas about white privilege, bystanderism, opting in, police racism, and racial justice overall. And here is a quote I pulled from the article to jumpstart the final discussion. Here is a photo of Chris working on his creative artifact. Here is Chris's final version. It's a poster. Sorry about the orientation. I couldn't quite figure out how to adjust it in Adobe Spark. But on the next slide, you will see and hear Chris delivering his roundtable presentation, where he comes up with some pretty thoughtful conclusions about privilege and race.
Yeah, the first topic this poster deals with is activism with the phrase "I'm marching, are you," which is on page 252 of the book, and it's after Quinn realizes he's in the wrong for choosing to be neutral, which is said to be the side of the oppressor. And he writes this on a blank shirt, and he kind of does it's a form of activism in his school, and him being a part of Rashad. And he kind of does it's a form of activism in his school, and him being a part of Rashad's community. And the other thing that I put on the poster was the formation fist that they do in basketball practice, where Rashad's friend English renames a move they call fist Rashad, and I put this all together. That to me also shows.
This is a diorama made by Courtney, which was really surprisingly well crafted, and I was really impressed by her work here. On the next slide, she'll talk about where her ideas came from in the book for this and how it connected to current events.
The authors, Jason Reynolds and Ronald Cayley, if I'm saying that correctly, are showing a representation of how police are quote-unquote protecting people from, again, quote-unquote criminals in life. And so, for example, in page 227 of All American Boys, David, who is Rashad's father, is telling days of when he was a police officer of how he shot a young black man after a dispute with a white man. And
on the next few slides, I'll share some photos of some of the other student artifacts of creativity. So here on the left is Ken's, who did a series of comic panels depicting racism through profiling. On the right is Do-hyun, who created an Instagram post of a police beating on an iPhone to depict themes of racism, police brutality, bystanderism, and media. Here on the left we have Carla, who did a combination of media, racism, and religion, as well as violence in hers. And on the right we have Kenya, who did a conceptual version of unity, racial unity. Okay, on the next three slides you'll find my reflections, my final reflections. I won't read them. If you would like to read them on your own, please feel free. I left enough time, hopefully, for you to get through those slides. But thanks for listening to my presentation, and I appreciate any feedback that you might have. Thanks so much. Well, that's it for my presentation. Just want to thank you for taking the time to have a look at it, and I appreciate any feedback that you might have for the lesson series and unit. And I look forward to seeing everyone else's in the group. Thanks so much.